save money, ditch your cable bill forever, and get free TV for the rest of your life with TigerStream. With TigerStream, there's no monthly bills, and you get free TV. You get all your TV shows, all your movies, all your sports, all your news channels, all your music, everything that cable has, you get on TigerStream, but you don't have to pay the monthly bill. You buy the TigerStream box, and that's it. You have free TV for the rest of your life. And basically, it pays for itself because you're not having to use that money no more to pay for your bills, so it pays for itself through the money you save by not having a cable bill. So switch to TigerStream. You get all your movies, plus movies. You get TV shows, movies, sports channels, everything that a lot more that cable does not have. They sent me one in the mail, and they had TV shows from other countries, as well as sports and movies and so much more than what cable had to offer. And they even had movies that were still in theater. They had a lot of new releases as well. So watch all your popular TV shows, movies, sports on TigerStream. And if you miss a show, that's okay. They have instant replay. So with TigerStream, you save a lot of money, free TV for the rest of your life. There's a no question 30-day money-back guarantee. So you have 30 days to try it out. If you don't like it, you can send it back. But I know you will, so just give it a shot. They have other devices that do similar things, such as they have the Amazon Fire Stick and the Roku, but they don't offer nearly as much as the features, apps, and add-ons that TigerStream offers. Plus, TigerStream offers private streams to their customers, which eliminates buffering and high definition, which makes TigerStream better than Roku and better than Amazon Fire Stick. They don't have as many features as TigerStream does. So click the link in the description box. Enter the promo code you see in the description box. Get $50 off. This pays for itself because you no longer have a cable bill. There's no point in paying a cable bill when you can just get TigerStream and have free TV for the rest of your life. Support my sponsors. You support me, Fisher of Men.
Santa Barbara, California, 1980. Recreational scuba diver Rick McKeever goes missing near the sunken wreck of the Liberty ship Allen. A day later, his mangled gear is dredged up by a search team. His apparently violent cause of death is a mystery. Was it sharks? A boat propeller? Hans Ulrich, who was his dive buddy that day, insists it was something far more terrifying.
When an abandoned industrial building is cleared for demolition, a locked door is discovered in its basement. The door conceals an archive of strange and disturbing specimens, recordings, photos, and documentary films. Compelling evidence of monstrous creatures and preternatural events. The documentarian's whereabouts remain unknown. In his records, he identifies himself only as the Teller. His investigations reveal a frightening world of dark secrets.
In 1998, I acquired a box of intriguing photographic negatives thought to be destroyed 18 years earlier. They tell a story involving lifelong friends Hans Ulrich and Rick McKeever. They grew up together in southern New Jersey.
Rick and I, we fell in love with diving, in high school. We just magically started doing it. It was just, it was amazing.
They attend different colleges, but after graduation, they decided to put off careers and head for a West Coast adventure.
We'd gotten back together and decided that we were basically going to live our dream, our first real love of our lives, which was diving. So I had mentioned to him, that I'd heard about Santa Barbara, California. And he said, yeah, I heard about Santa Barbara, California as well. So we mutually decided, let's go be Mavericks, let's go do this. and we moved to Santa Barbara. We got a little place. This is just a tiny little, like, one-room shack with a couch, a little souvenir shop in the marina there. We were hoping that we could get jobs, you know, on a commercial ride boat. But those jobs were just, you know, they were all taken.
They trade work as deckhands for dive time and live a party life in the California sunshine.
This gentleman walks in. He's kind of loud. He's dressed nice, and he sits at the bar next to us, and we start talking with him. And before you know it, you know, one thing led to another. He's buying us drinks, and he's talking about us coming and hanging out with him all night. So we were like, great.
I tracked down Leonard Ryberg, the wealthy boat owner they met that night.
We were down at the marina, and my regular crew and I would come back in, been on the water on my 38-foot fishing boat, pretty nice little boat, and Rick and Hans kind of joined up with us, started having some cocktails. They were talking about how they wanted to go scuba diving. So I told them, I said, you know, we're going back out later tonight. You know, if you guys want to come party with us tonight, then, you know, I can push you in the water tomorrow morning. There's a couple of reefs down there, you know, Rick, you can dive. As long as you bring us up some lobsters for lunch, it's all good. I'm figuring, you know, hey, I got somebody to dive for lobsters for me.
It is on March 27th of 1980 that Holbert and McKeever dive on the Allen, a sunken wreck that had been there for years. All the locals knew about it. They had done it a half dozen times before, whenever they could con their way onto a boat for free. But this dive would be their last.
It's really early in the morning. I'm pretty heavily hungover, so I nudge Rick, and I say, hey, it's time to do this. Let's go dive. Let's make this happen.
They put out to sea around 9 a.m. A half hour later, they are 90 feet above the wreck of the Allen.
It really was a beautiful day. It was a gorgeous day. The visibility is about probably 30 to 60 feet. Maybe at times even better than that. So we're halfway down. We're feeling good, feeling better as we're heading down. We get to the bottom, and we start searching for lobsters. We're very close together because, you know, being dive partners, you know, that's how we were taught, and we were, you know, basically within about 5 to 7 feet at all times. But we heard this strange, like, roar come out of nowhere.
Hans and Rick know the ocean is filled with incredible mystery and danger, but what they are about to witness is beyond imagination. After a night of partying in Santa Barbara Harbor, Hans Holbert and Rick McKeever dive to a wreck 90 feet below to find lobster for lunch. But they are not alone.
I'm not sure where this roar came from, whether it was on the surface or was on the boat moving or shifting, or there's something on the ground or behind us. So I look at him, he's looking at me, and, you know, I'm thinking, like, don't panic, you know, we generally don't get scared because we see a lot, but this was really loud and it was really strange. So we look around, we can't see anything, and we continue on looking for lobsters for this guy. Within about, I would say, probably 30 seconds, we experienced like a thermal climb. And if you're not familiar with that, that's when, you know, the temperature of the water changes. But this was extreme. And simultaneously with this happening, the water visibility started to go down a bit.
Suddenly, the two divers sense something behind them. McKeever turns and looks and shows immediate signs of physical panic. Before Holbert can wheel around, something takes out McKeever.
Something just came out of nowhere violently. It brushed me as it came by, and it attacked Rick. It literally ripped him away from his position. And when it happened, it was so violent that the turbulence was like a wave. It was like a wave hitting me. And all of a sudden there was like just red around me. And I couldn't see Rick. And I'm starting to really freak out at this point. I'm looking around, I don't see him, all I see is red. I'm looking frantically for my friend, and he's nowhere to be found. Before I knew it, my heart was beating so loud it was just in my eardrums, just pounding away. That mixed with the current and the red water, I was literally panicked out of my mind, and I had to gather myself together. I said, I gotta get out of here now, or I'm not gonna get out of here. I was freaking petrified. I managed to make it about 3/4 of the way up. Some kind of courage in me told me, look for Rick. Just take one last look. And he was nowhere to be found. There was nothing there.
So I'm walking around the boat looking for bubbles, hoping they're coming back up, and that's when I see Hans.
Ryder! What the hell's going on? Where gotta go?
They help pull me up on the boat, and I'm kicking and screaming the whole time. And they're looking at me like, calm down, calm down.
And he says, we gotta get out of here, otherwise we're all gonna die. We didn't want to leave because we wanted to find Hans had come up too quick, so he was gonna start getting sick from the bends, and I knew we had to get him back in. So I called the Coast Guard and told them that we had a diver down where he was.
The radio chatter is intercepted by a young news photographer named Lee Van Asten. I convinced him to discuss this disturbing incident.
At that time, I was working as a freelance photographer for a local news station. I was listening to the radio scanner when I heard about an ongoing Coast Guard search for a shark attack victim. And I could hear there were several vessels out there looking for a victim. And then a call came across.
Coast Guard TV 219, I think we go, we're gonna find, we're gonna go ahead and bring it in. We'll see what we can do, okay? It doesn't look good. It looks probably like a boat propeller got him. Maybe a shark, no remains, no body.
Van Asten ascertains the vessel number and the location where it will be docking. Eager for a scoop, he rushes to the pier. He meets the boat crew as they are unloading and laying out the evidence for the coroner and police. The crew is clearly inexperienced with the press. Van Asten presents his credentials and is able to take unobstructed photos. There is nothing left of McKeever but trace evidence. His wetsuit is shredded, his regulator hose torn, and his tank severely scraped. It had all been found on the ocean floor about 100 yards from the hull of the Allen. Also discovered is a massive talon with a hunk of fleshy cuticle still attached. The claw measures 9 inches along the curve. The search and rescue team seems as in awe of it as the young photographer does.
I asked if it was a deformed shark tooth, and they didn't know. And even if it was still 9 inches long, and that would make this animal a total freak of nature.
I believe Hans Ulbricht's account, and now I've seen Van Asten's photographs. What was this creature? A new, undiscovered species? Or an ancient one? I'm not sure. A diver has been killed, and TV news photographer Lee Van Asten has captured evidence of a strange cause for this incident.
I immediately realized I had some once-in-a-lifetime pictures. And when I noticed that the police were coming, I just headed back straight to my car and got out of there. I went back to the darkroom to get those films developed for the 11 p.m. news. Then at 7:30, some guy in a suit showed up at the news station looking to talk to the manager. But they left with the films, any pictures I was able to develop, as well as the negatives.
Despite having gathered information on what appears to be a compelling story, the station doesn't run anything on it at 11. They do report on it the next day, but the incident is described as a boating mishap, with no emphasis on the massive violence McKeever suffered. The news station and the search team refused to answer any further questions about it. As the weeks go by, a traumatized Hans Ulbricht falls into a deep depression.
It was really starting to get to me. I mean, I couldn't even make my best friend's funeral. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I had no desire to dive. I mean, I had lost what felt like my lust for life, along with my best friend, and just a horrifying memory of that day. The way the newspapers reported the story was just a complete sham. I mean, they got it so wrong. I mean, they called it a boating accident. I mean, this was not a boating accident. This was something much more. I started to feel obligated to get the truth to the surface.
Ulbricht seeks out a reporter from the Santa Barbara Herald-Leader, a small local paper. It's a fairly reputable publication and known to be a little more aggressive about the stories it would get behind.
You know, I almost felt like I was being mocked, honestly, when the guy had first come up, because he was young. I noticed something different about this reporter. He actually looked like he was listening to me. And he was writing stuff down. He wasn't dismissing me. This guy was believing me. For the first time since the incident, or whatever you would call it, I had somebody to believe my story. I get a phone call out of the blue one night. I pick up the phone. There's a strange voice on the other end of the line. I can't place this voice, but it doesn't sound good. This guy tells me, listen, you need to shut your mouth. And I'm frozen. Normally I would tell somebody like this to go to hell. And he starts mentioning my family's names, their full names, and their addresses. Nobody knows about my family. Nobody knows anything about, where we're from. So I'm quite taken aback, and I'm scared at this point. He tells me I need to shut my mouth, get all of my together, and get the hell out of town. Now. At that point, I decide this is real, and something really big is happening here that's bigger than you. Next morning I get up, I pack up everything I have, I put it in my car, and I roll out of Santa Barbara, content to leave the whole damn thing behind me. I, at this point, for the first time, am comfortable to speak about it again.
Ulbricht's leaving town may have been motivated by more than fear. Neighbors say he departed in a new car, which he never could have afforded given the financial hardships he describes. California motor vehicle records show that he indeed owned it. Where did that money come from? The oceanside town of Santa Barbara, California, has been shaken by the disturbing death of young diver Rick McKeever. Just when it appears that the whole matter is going to blow over, a man's disappearance and presumed death, evidence of a cryptozoological creature, and what is clearly a cover-up, a shuttle boat sinks while departing the deep drilling rig Blue Thalassa 6 miles off the Santa Barbara coast. The sinking is preceded by a short, harrowing distress call.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Huguenot. We just been around. Christ, requesting assistance.
There are no survivors. The Huguenot is a 40-foot vessel used to transport administrative personnel, documents, and small cargo to and from the platform. Robert Corso knows the boat well. He works on Blue Thalassa loading and unloading transports during the period in question.
Huguenot was some 3 miles out from the Blue Thalassa when he sent out distress signal that they'd been rammed.
Oddly, the area is immediately declared restricted, and civilian craft coming to help are waved off by the growing fleet of Navy and Coast Guard vessels.
The ship had been broken into a lot of pieces, which sort of confirmed the report that she'd been rammed. Although that's very, very deep water there. I can't imagine what they would have run into. The crew and everybody were lost. I think the next day, a human leg floated to the surface, but that was it. They never found anybody.
It seems too much of a coincidence that this occurrence is in the vicinity of Blue Thalassa Drilling Station. The state-of-the-art oil year earlier, and has technology to drill in waters 2 miles deep, the deepest in the world at this time. And the geologist on board found the drilling experience to be unusual.
We were wildcatting off the Channel Islands, drilling in about 1,500 feet of water. And then it was about a few thousand feet of sediment at that. And what happened was we found this very rare pocket of Silurian limestone. And Silurian, that period of time is like 430 million years ago. And so it's really neat to find these because they do end up being really huge caves. As we drill down through these layers, then with the Pacific coast and the plate set up being unstable anyway, it just, all these pressure vectors, if you will, created this collapse of the cavern.
In the days following the rupture in this cavern, crew members report hearing strange sounds at night, almost like a whale, but more aggressive, something akin to a grinding foghorn. Not long after, Rick McKeever meets his untimely end. The Navy knows there is something in the water. They briefly track a large sonar signature, having motion consistent with that of a sea creature. It's 45 feet in length. The Navy quickly releases 15 trained attack dolphins into the area.
Attack dolphins are mainly used to patrol, harbor areas looking for enemy divers. They're just like security guards, They just monitor the areas, looking for signs of trouble. They are armed with a snout-mounted hypodermic lance with a CO2 charge, which are able to inject and just immediately blast right into a body. And when they do ram that into their victim, the embolizing effect, it's just gruesome and deadly.
Ostensibly, the dolphins identify their enemy from the scent provided by the detached talon found near McKeever's gear. No one knows how it all transpired in the depths of the ocean, but it must have been one hell of a battle. Of the original 15, only 9 dolphins return, all of which have discharged their weapons. The dolphins give the signal to their handlers that they have found and killed the target. Analysis of the claw eventually yields a best guess as to its origin. It is thought to come from a creature resembling a massive Montiel-Tosuchus aruta composi, but with longer limbs and more agile claws. Its behavior also shows an uncanny intelligence. But for now, the waters would be quiet. Until, in late August of the same year, this 8mm film appears. It was shot in late spring by a Mexican fishing boat operating in the Gulf. The decayed mass in its nets appears to be the head and upper torso of a huge creature. Its single remaining forelimb dangles, showing massive claws similar to the one recovered in the McKeever incident. Contained in the fleshy mass are 2 leathery eggs the size of human heads.
Go to Blanding, Utah, you'll see carvings of dinosaurs on the cliff there. Apparently they knew about dinosaurs in Utah. The Indians knew about them. They killed them, apparently. This is a cave painting in Australia showing a guy running away from what appears to be a dinosaur. I can't pronounce the name of this place in Canada, Mishap something or other here, but it looks like these Indians have painted something on the cliff there that appears to be like a dinosaur with a dermal frill ridged on its back. This is a painting from Australia. These guys are all dancing around what quite obviously looks like a dinosaur. Apparently they're upset because it ate their friend. Okay, there's the friend inside. Give him back, please, right now. Anyway, this guy says nobody's ever seen a dinosaur. Well, why did they put them on their cave paintings? Why did they put them on ancient pottery? Why do we see so many legends of dragons if nobody's ever seen one? Down in Peru, they've got the driest desert in the world. It's only rained twice in 400 years, is my understanding. When the Spanish came across there in 1500s, they found white lines on the desert. They were obviously man-made. Somebody piled up the rocks. There's a pile of white rocks that goes sometimes for miles, straight as an arrow. These today are called the Nazca lines. How many have ever heard of the Nazca images? They got all these images down there and down in Peru. You can study that if you'd like. But strange, these images are interesting. But one of them shows a spider which has no eyes and one leg is longer than the rest. And for centuries, everybody thought, well, these were poor, ignorant, stupid people. You know, they forgot to put the eyes on, and they made the one leg longer by accident. Recently, there was a spider discovered in the Amazon jungle 1,000 miles away. It only lives in caves. It is extremely rare. It's supposed to be one of the rarest spiders on Earth. It's 1/8 of an inch long, little tiny spider, lives 1,000 miles away in the dark, in the caves. The spider has no eyes, and during mating season, that one particular leg grows longer, and it exchanges DNA off the tip of that leg for 15 seconds. How did they know that in Peru, 1,000 miles away? Maybe they weren't so stupid after all. Anyway, in 1535, the Spanish conquistadors came through that area, and they found stones with strange animals on them. They sent some back to the king of Spain and said, what on earth are these animals carved on these rocks? The king said, I have no clue. Today they're called the Ica burial stones from Ica, Peru. Dennis Swift is probably the world's expert on those. He's one of my good friends from Portland, Oregon. He did a great session at our boot camp in 2005, our creation boot camp we have in Pensacola, Florida. And we've got his DVDs of him speaking on the Ica stones. It's incredible. You can still get those on our website. But these stones show dinosaurs on them. The Nazca burial stones from about the time of Christ, plus or minus a few hundred years. Some of them show brain surgery. They find brain surgery instruments, hardened copper, tempered copper instruments for cutting into people's heads, apparently. Some of them show heart surgery, limb reattachment, steam engine. One of them showed what looks like a steam engine. Strange things are found on these Ica stones in Peru, but quite a few of them, over 500 I believe, show dinosaurs. Why would they have dinosaurs and humans on the same stones? Well, because people lived with dinosaurs. Anyway, there's plenty on that. Here's one from our museum. Shows a dinosaur holding a guy by the head. This one we've got shows what appears to be a guy cutting the head off the dragon because the dragon killed his friend. You can see the friend's body is inside, but his head's missing. So his buddy's just doing what the Bible says. You know, vengeance is fine, saith the Lord. Something like that. But this guy's jabbing one through the throat with a spear. This one's hard to see, but he's shoving the spear down the dragon's throat. This one, the dragon's got the guy by the arm, and apparently his spirit is leaving. He's flying off into heaven, or wherever they go when they die in their culture, you know. This guy's got the knife stuck in the dragon's head, and the dragon's biting the guy. We've got 8 of these stones in Pensacola, Florida. It's the largest collection in America, I believe, at $1,500 each. You know, not too many people have these things, but some of them show circles on the side. Now, that's kind of interesting. Why would they put circles on the side of the dinosaurs? Well, nobody ever found dinosaur skin until about 20 years ago, when fossilized dinosaur skin was found. It's very interesting. The dinosaur skin has circle patterns on it. They had to see a live one to know to put that on the stones, because you couldn't tell that from the bones. We got some dinosaur skin in our museum in Pensacola. Recently, they just found unfossilized soft dinosaur tissue. Soft dinosaur tissue? So now the brilliant scientists are trying to figure out how could tissue stay soft for 70 million years? The thought will never cross their brain to question that maybe it's not 70 million years old. I mean, that thought will never enter their head, okay? This guy's cutting the head off a dragon. There's a guy riding one. We got a ton of information on dinosaurs living with man. Sometimes they're in friendly gestures, like this one's petting him. He's got his head laying on his shoulder, okay? Pottery was found with dinosaurs on it. A mummy was found in a tomb wrapped in a blanket, and all around the blanket were dinosaurs. Why would they put dinosaurs on their blankets? Why would they put them on their pottery? Why would they carve them on cliff walls? Why would they put them on their waistbands? In Acámbaro, Mexico, 56,000 ceramic figurines of dinosaurs were found. They knew about them in central Mexico. They have always lived with man. They did not live millions of years ago. But everybody today is saying dinosaurs lived millions of years ago and nobody's ever seen one. Yeah, I think they have, okay. An Italian peasant killed a dragon that was bothering his cows. They had it stuffed and mounted for a museum display in 1572. By the way, you know why so many Italians are named Tony? Years ago, they were shipping them to America, and they stamped on their forehead, to New York. Just a little bit of trivia there. But the second artifact appears to show what it looks like a pterodactyl with its wings folded up. This lady sent me this picture of the dragon found in Utah. I said, Brother Hogan, looks like a dinosaur to me, carved on the cliff up here. Roman artifacts were found in Tucson, Arizona. By the way, the Romans came across the ocean way before Columbus did. Columbus was not the first white man across the ocean. There was trade back and forth for centuries until the Catholic Church kind of had the Dark Ages come in and shut down knowledge and information. But Brendan the Navigator came across in 500 A.D. Roman coins, or Hebrew coins, were found in Ohio in a burial mound. There was trade back and forth at the time of Christ across the ocean. But in a Las Lunas Decalogue stone here found in New Mexico, there's an 80-ton stone showing the 10 Commandments in Byzantine, which was only used about 500 A.D., is my understanding. Somebody came across, tried to evangelize America, made it as far as New Mexico, 1,500 years ago. But one of these Roman swords shows what quite obviously appears to be a dinosaur on it. How on earth could they get dinosaurs on their swords at the time of the Roman Empire? During the age of sailing ships, there are thousands of legends of people sighting sea monsters. Well, if you're in a sailboat, it's kind of quiet going through the water, okay? Today with a diesel engine, they can hear you coming 50 miles away underwater. Of course, you're not going to see one, right? But there are legends all over of dragons living with man. I think we've really been lied to. We could spend a long time on dragon legends. I read prolifically on that topic about dragon sightings down through history. Just get our video number 3 if you want more on dragon legends. But you know, there are actually stories of giant octopus living in the ocean. I mean, like really, really, really big octopus. One octopus washed up on the beach in Florida. It was 200 feet across and weighed 5 tons. That's a big octopus. A whale was killed near Seattle. Inside the whale's stomach was one arm to an octopus that was 150 feet long. Whales love to eat octopus. And if a whale eats too much octopus, he'll get sick and puke it back up. And if you ever see a piece of puked up octopus floating around in the ocean, be sure to grab it. It's worth a fortune. Does anybody know what they make out of puked up octopus? Perfume. That is correct. That explains a few things, doesn't it, fellas? Hey, dear, you smell like a puked up octopus. Yeah, and you can sleep on the couch for a month, too. Yeah. There are giant squids found out there in the ocean. I mean, really big squids. We could spend a long time about that one. A giant squid washed up on the beach in New Zealand. They said it was a baby. Full grown, it would have been 150 feet long. People say, no, wait, Hovind. If there are dinosaurs mentioned all through history, are dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible? Oh, yeah. Dinosaurs in the Bible? Yeah, we're going to cover that in the next session. Dinosaurs not only mentioned in the Bible, some dinosaurs might still be alive. We'll cover that.
On April the 25th at about 10:30, we noticed something big caught in the nets. It was a red, fleshy object which smelled very strongly. We didn't know what it was, so I went for my camera and flash gun.
Sadly, the body itself was afterwards thrown back. But early in 1980, one of the world's leading fisheries experts, Professor Fujio Yasuda, arrived for a conference in London with all the remaining evidence.
This is all the evidence about the unknown creature dredged from the sea by the Zuru off New Zealand on the 25th of April 1977. These photographs were taken by Mr. Yano of Tayo Fisheries. The real half of the body was rotten and dropped off. As you can see in this photograph, the surface of the body is covered with a fat-like substance. This is the drawing made by Mr. Yano after measuring the creature. I can't think of any known fish which has this shape. I can't tell what this creature is, but I assure you that it is completely unknown to us.
But Seymour Gimlin,
founder and director of the Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas. The title to today's program is, Did You See That? Exclamation point. We're going to talk about that which would shock our modern generation, but that which is not only biblical, but scientifically credible, and we're going to prove it on the program today. Man and dinosaur living contemporaneously. Men saw living dinosaurs. Dinosaurs saw living men. We have an incredible array of information today, and I have a very special guest. When I have Dr. Dennis Swift on the program, the ratings go sky high. I don't know how people know he's going to be on or is on, but worldwide, people like what he has to say. This gentleman is intrepid. He's fearless. He goes into jungles that are forbidden. He goes to lofty mountain peaks, deserts where the snakes and the vipers can destroy your life in a matter of minutes. Spiders can destroy your life in a matter of minutes. Yet he goes because he's driven by the truth. He is, in my opinion, the leading cryptozoologist alive today. And as a cryptozoologist, he's written an amazing book, Secrets of the Inca Stones, and much of what we're going to talk about today is pictured here, but we're going to solve some amazing problems, and he's the man who leads the field in doing it. I want you to meet my dear friend, Dr. Dennis Swift. Dennis, it's a pleasure to have you on the telecast.
Thank you, Carl. You're just a treat and a joy and a good friend that I've known for a number of years. Well, it's wonderful to be a guest on your program.
Well, we need to stand together, you know.
That's right.
What you're going to say on the program today is not believed by standard academics. And many theologians have fallen prey to the wiles of the theory of evolution that man and dinosaur were separated by 65 million years. But you have information that recent civilizations, not only the biblical record of the book of Job with Behemoth in chapter 40, but recent civilizations outside the Bible with no influence of the Bible whatsoever have recorded living dinosaurs. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've been involved with a group of scientists, a team of over 100 scientists in 71 different countries, and there's been documented over 4 million plus petroglyphs. Petroglyphs are rock art carvings.
Yes.
And pictographs are rock art paintings. And among these petroglyphs and pictographs by various civilizations in America, the American Southwest, the Anasazi, the Harnada Indians, South American Indians, Mongolian people, in every place we've been, we find evidence that they saw living dinosaurs because they depicted them in their art.
Yes. So 4 million
plus
of these
petroglyphs.
Yes. And among those are examples of dinosaurs unmistakable. Would you take us through this information?
Yes,
I'm ready. This audience is ready.
First, I'll take you to the American Southwest. There was a group of Indians called the Harnada Mogollon Indians who inhabited the American Southwest from 1000 to 1400 AD. And this petroglyph site in the New Mexico area of 24,000 plus petroglyphs just in one area, 1.5 miles by about a half a mile wide. And among the animals, deer, sheep,
that which we could identify.
Fish, they depicted in the basalt a Parasaurolophus dinosaur. And this dinosaur, you can see it here on the boulder.
I love that. He's one of my favorite. I call him the imperial dinosaur with the crest, the imperial crest.
He has the flamboyant head crest similar to a snorkel. It has the eyes depicted correctly, what we know of modern paleontology. And this is somewhere between 1000 and 1400 AD, this Parasaurolophus dinosaur. And it had stripes on it, down the tail. And there is the evidence. You know, evolutionists say if dinosaurs and man lived together, evolution would be DOA, dead on arrival. That evolution would melt down faster than the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz. That it would be kaput. It would be finished.
Evolutionary scholars have admitted that.
Yes, leading ones like Louis Jacobs, Ernst Mayr at Harvard. They've all said if there's any evidence that dinosaurs and man were contemporaries or co-occurred together, evolution is false. And they attack this particular petroglyph because they said, oh, Dennis Swift and other creationists are well-meaning, but they're ignorant because no dinosaur had stripes like a zebra. You should leave the research to us dinosaur experts. And then recently, just on 2 weeks ago, a book was published, the discovery of a hadrosaur dinosaur in the Badlands of Montana. It is the most well-preserved dinosaur ever found. Over 90+% of the skin, fossilized skin, the internal stomach contents that had to form very fast, not millions of years, but very quickly. They cannot explain it. And what they discovered as they looked at this in the skin fragments, and they took this 29-foot specimen in 2 different blocks to the largest C-scan machine in the world in Los Angeles, owned by Boeing. They put it inside the C-scan machine, and when they came out, they discovered that there was crossing, starting with the tail, are stripes, like a zebra.
Like a zebra. Dennis, let's add
all the way down the body, they think now, that this had zebra stripes.
So that verifies the drawing of these particular Indians in the New Mexican Southwest. But let's add a dimension to this. I understand from reading some of the technical background of this incredible discovery by a young man who was a teenager, and he's now working on his advanced degrees at Yale, I believe. The stripes are indicative of an additional dimension. The article goes on to say that current living reptiles that have stripes in this horizontal pattern are also able to change color to some degree. That being the case...
It may be like a chameleon. It could blend in with its environment.
What a marvelous specimen and a marvelous discovery.
And what they could not understand about this is it doesn't fit with evolutionary theory because it's wrong. The fact is that the stomach contents were liquefied and then fossilized very rapidly, and they found it 44 different plants that had been eating, but the skin on the outside was not attacked by bacteria. They can't explain why the stomach contents was attacked by bacteria, not the outside, and it was remarkably preserved. Not millions of years, but very quickly.
Very, very quickly. And this demonstrates that the dinosaur was not a brute beast of the past as he is normally portrayed in the evolutionary scenario, but instead a very complicated reptile matching all the rest of creation.
And in approximately 200,000 plus petroglyphs, there's another one of these that they also did deep in a canyon that I know of. So they did see living dinosaurs. Now this is the same culture group, the Hornata, and there's a Conosaurus dinosaur on basaltic rock from about 1000 to 1400 AD. You can tell, slightly faded, but you can see the tail, the body, the head,
and the reptilian form. Yes.
Now, there's a very famous gentleman that I will not name his name publicly until the articles are published. He's a scientist in America. He read my book, The Secret of the Ecostones and the Nazca Lines, but he himself, in petroglyph research with his laboratory, they came upon a site where they themselves saw a dinosaur petroglyph next to what he was documenting. And in his mind, he said, dinosaurs, somebody get a pickaxe and chop this thing out. It's going to discredit my research. And then he said, wait a minute. Same patina, same everything. It was an intellectual cataclysm because he said, wow, dinosaurs and man must have lived together. And it turned his intellectual world upside down.
And more are experiencing that than will admit it.
These Indians fished there 1,000 years ago. There used to be many rivers coming together, and there was a volcanic explosion, and the rivers aren't there anymore in the desert. And they, as they were fishing, they go up on this hillside and carve these out of the rocks. One of the species that they carved of fish is a rare fish that was supposed to be extinct 210 to 420 million years ago that defies evolutionary theory because they had to see it to draw it.
Yes.
It's a strange-looking fish. Similar to what happened in 1937, all evolutionists and people said that the coelacanth was proof positive of evolution. And then in 1938, they found the living one off of Madagascar.
Yes, and many more have been discovered since then.
This is a Mochi gold death burial mask.
I've seen the original of that mask.
Yes, we were together over to the museum that I took you there to in Peru, and the Mochi people who had inhabited the northern coast of Peru in a desert area from 60 AD to about 800 AD, they put 2 dinosaurs on this death burial mask.
Let's let the audience see. Here is the large head of the dinosaur with his barren teeth. There's the body. There are the frills over the spine and the long tail. Same on the other side, a mirror image.
And the Mochi people, among others, I have seen 11 Mochi vases out of about 50,000 that have the dinosaur on it, the same species of dinosaur, with dermal spines running down the back. Dermal spines were unknown until 1992, when Stephen Zirkus, in his article in Geology, documented that they have dermal spines like an iguana, frills that run along the back. All the other paleontology books were wrong. And now, in the last few years, they're putting them with the dermal frills. These people had to, again, see living, breathing dinosaurs to drill them accurately.
Absolutely, no question about it.
And here I show a mummy from the Atacama Desert region. And now there is the driest place on the planet. See how well preserved those fabrics are?
Yes.
And they, on these fabrics, on the mummy, here's what they found. I want to point to something that is simply astonishing. It's a pedestal-smashing blow to evolution. Here is a child's Nazcan poncho.
It's beautiful.
It's 400 to 700 AD. You know, once they sealed the tombs, the ancient people in that dry climate, it preserved it.
Certainly, I've been there.
This was found on a mummy. And there are the dinosaurs along the fringe.
No question about it.
The same dinosaurs depicted similar to on the mask, similar to the vases. There is proof positive. These dinosaurs are missionary lizards. Everybody's curious about dinosaurs, and even this child's poncho, he has a dinosaurs on the bottom.
So they were relatively common.
Yes, 1,300 years ago. Now, everything else on this table is real, but this is a replica of one of the mochi vases. And we see again the stripes.
Yes.
Which I was heavily criticized for, but we now see the dermal spines and the frill on the back of the head.
Yes.
And this one looks like it has some kind of spikes on the end of the tail.
In
the same Atacama Desert region, there was a people called the Paracas people, and they were from 300 to 500 BC. This was found in an official archaeological excavation wrapped around a mummy. This is 300 to 500 BC. And what you see are Allosaur or T-Rex type dinosaurs.
Incredible. But there's no question about it.
No question. No pre-Columbian authority, no skeptic, no evolutionist, no critic can deny that this is a real piece of cloth from a mummy with dinosaurs on it.
So I have to say again, did you see that?
Wow, I just did. I'm so excited I'll say it backwards. Wow, I'll say it backwards. Wow. Here is a stone from a Paracas tomb engraved with the same dinosaur.
Correct.
300 to 500 BC. We moved to the Nazcan people group who are from about 300 BC to 800 or 900 AD. Here's a Nazcan ceremonial vase with a dinosaur.
Yes.
The dinosaur has the dermal frills, 4 toes on side. This is 400 to 700 AD. The head and everything is similar to the Inca stones and other things that have been found there. And you know, the chronicler to the Incas, Juan de Santa Cruz Yamque Paracute, in 1571, he documented these stones, engraved stones, with what they call dragons on them, which we know are dinosaurs today. I want to show you now another civilization from the same region. This is Tiwanaku. This is about 500 AD, near Lake Titicaca.
That's marvelous.
Here is a vase that any pre-Columbian authority is going to say, yes, that is Tiwanaku, 500 AD. See the dinosaur?
No question about it.
Now, 400 and something miles away is a mummy from, this is wrapped around a mummy. It's a swatch mantelpiece. Hold this at the end. This is actually 400 to 700 AD. You will see dinosaurs.
Absolutely.
And this piece is 1,300 to 1,700 years old. And it's the same similar dinosaur depicted.
Motif. They had to see
it.
It's
not some mythological monster. And then we have another rare piece right here, a Nazcan with the same dinosaur.
Absolutely.
This is approximately 200 AD. So
they had to see these creatures continuously in order to so faithfully represent them.
Yes. And what we see is the Nazca line. This is all the same region.
Yes.
We have stones, we have fabrics, we have vases with dinosaurs. These are the Nazcan geoglyphs, the Nazca lines, Nazca pulpa, that you can only see from the air. And these animals were done about 300 to 200 BC. And among them are the gigantic geoglyphs carved by the ancient Nazcan people. There is a Pachycephalosaurus dinosaur about 60 meters long. You can see the dinosaur Pachycephalosaurus.
And I personally saw that geoglyph as we flew over the area. You led the pilot.
And we have 200 miles away, and there will be another Nazcan glyph here, but this 200 miles away is a place called Toro Morto. And the Wari Indians, about 1000 AD, same geographical region, they did petroglyphs, rock art carvings with dinosaurs. Similar to Brachiosaurus dinosaur, Triceratops dinosaurs, they did it on the rock 1,000 years ago.
And what is intriguing to me is, on these dinosaurs, you see the rosette patterns.
The rosette patterns, the same on the petroglyphs that we see on the Ica stones and other engraved stones. Overflying the Nazca lines again is this famous discovery recently that we flew over of a Triceratops species of dinosaur Now, this geoglyph, we're flying about 2,000 feet, and we have to keep circling. But you will see here distinctively the head crest. This is a stone that was found nearby from the same period of time with the Triceratops species of dinosaur in it. The horns, everything. And this one's about 50 meters long, half the length of a football field.
I was amazed when I saw it.
And we flew over that. It was simply amazing, astonishing, incredible. And then we see the species again, larger blow up. Now, we go to Israel. And there in Israel, on the Golan Heights, this synagogue is Jewish. It was inhabited from 400 to 749 AD, where there was a major earthquake. They started excavating in 2003. El Kanatar, it means mother of arches.
Yes.
And as they were excavating, and let me emphasize, this was an official archaeological excavation by well-known archaeologists. And as they were digging down in the rubble, they found a synagogue, prayer room, something like that. They found pillars. At the base of one of these pillars, this pillar here, at the base, they found a dinosaur chasing a horse.
Is incredible. And not only chasing a horse, one is approaching.
And the other one bites the horse on the neck.
Yes.
This is no later than 749 AD. Somewhere between 400 and 700 AD, they carved this on the pillar. And you see the crest of the top of the dinosaur, similar to a T-Rex, but this crest, only one species of dinosaur had this crest, and that's Cryolophosaurus.
Yes.
And Cryolophosaurus was found in the Antarctica, has what they call an Elvosaurus too, like a pompadour crest on the top of the head, and it means frozen crested lizard. We see the crest on it.
Isn't that marvelous?
This is a stunning rebuttal to evolution.
Absolutely.
That means evolution is bankrupt. That means it never occurred. This is bringing to light in a Jewish synagogue not only the tombs of Peru, not only other places that we've witnessed the vases and everything else, but we see the 3 toes and the hind claw, and we see also, Carl, if we look closely, you can see his arms.
Yes, his forearms.
Forearms are right here.
Smaller forearms.
And he's reaching over the horse and biting into the horse.
I want to make this point as well. Not only is he biting the horse, but according to the theory of evolution, this T-Rex died out 64 million years ago. He was
Give a day or two, yeah.
Yes, he was a brute beast. However, what we find here is a reflectivity in all modern animals of prey, and that is to go for the jugular vein area of the neck in one form or another, the top or the bottom.
Yes.
And here he's not going for the rump, as you would expect, you know, if he were a brute beast, but instead, jugular vein concept from the top, and of course the horse is being overcome, as we would expect.
People who discovered Cryolophosaurus, here's the reconstruction of the skeleton with the head crest, and they did a size comparison with an elephant. So when you look at a horse, it's very comparable. This can only be a dinosaur. And there again is an artist's rendering of it from the Antarctica.
Had to be seen in living profile. Then, in the last moments, describe, if you will, what is found here at Zipori in this beautiful
is in Israel,
relief.
Zipori. It's inside of a Roman mansion. It is a mosaic.